too far along in the study of this plan. We've been studying it for 7 years to come to where we are right now. So to give up and do nothing makes no sense. But also the fact that we don't use our waterways doesn't make any sense. And we have lobbyists to kind of go to the county right now and say, look, for 20% of what you're going to spend, for $200 million, I guarantee you buy boats, we can have, well, why can't we just have like 3 different or 4 different landing areas just right across? It would just alleviate everything. And we could take people via the water right to that connection on the other side without the infrastructure that's stressing everybody out so much. I've been to Europe and seen how they work these hydrofoils that go from island to island. We need to get this out. We have the money to do it. It is, but you know, the government works very slowly. We've been studying the other plan, and even though the other plan is flawed, we're kind of stuck with something that we know is not the right plan, and that's very frustrating.
I think if we do move into like a mass transit, what we should definitely address is tourist versus resident worker, right? And why do I say that? In New York City, the subways are overcrowded and there's
Not
a lot
anymore.
of homeless and excuse me, what, I'm sorry, yes,
Not anymore.
I go up to New York City for work, and the reason I'm mentioning this is New York City has the same price for a tourist as a resident. So I think to help our residents and really keep the best workforce possible in Miami Beach, we should have a Miami Beach worker rate or a Miami Beach resident rate, similar to what we do with the golden passport individuals over a certain age, versus the tourist rate, so that we don't get those tourists who are abusing or not caring so much for our mass transit that we're
That train starts at the jail. That's literally where it's originating from, is the government center, right into the jail. It's like a direct connection.
And the trolleys always
either,
packed.
because where do you go when you get out of jail and you've got nowhere to go? You're gonna get on the train and go to
I heard yesterday someone say like government is not the place for innovation, but like they will help fund other places that have innovation. So maybe there is a way that we can do something that's interesting that's not 40 years old and doesn't have this high.
Well, we had a public-private partnership with the Jack Jenkins Group, and that connection was supposed to go over to where the Herald is on that site. But that, yeah, so that's been canceled. I don't know exactly what happened. And then we have this agreement with the Chinese, who are really good actually at coming in and building this large-scale infrastructure. I know, government dollars going to Chinese infrastructure, but they've gotten very good at going into foreign places and like building bridges and highways in a way that we can't seem to get it together. But we do have some great infrastructure bills right now, and we're, you know, and I was just at this Aspen Institute where they were discussing the fact that we really need to explore these public-private partnerships to get it done.
Yeah.
As you can see, in the North End, and I'm gonna answer your question in 1 second, Irene, we got $10 million to do this big North Beach Oceanside Park. It's like a mile long park. 10 years later, nothing has been done, and the shovel is really not even in the ground. When we had a private company, and I know you don't like this park, do Canopy Park, that park was done in 6 months. So at this point, I'm kind of sold on the idea of, instead of us doing it, let's hire a private company. Because we really seem to have a issue getting things done. And with the capital improvement department is understaffed, they have too many projects, and the result is that nothing is getting done the way that it should. I'll tell you, I gave them a little task, because the bathroom in City Hall next to my office is disgusting. It smelled bad, I haven't done it in 40 years, so I said to them over the holidays, I said, can you please do something with this? And I told him, I laid it out, I do renovations, I know how to do these things, I said, buy in here, you'll get the cheapest price, this is what I want. They messed up that little bathroom, so if they're messing that, I said, you know, but this was just a microcosm of kind of some of the inefficiencies and possibly people that might not be the most qualified to be doing the jobs that they are. And this is partly because it's political. When you go into City Hall and you know somebody, someone's cousin or something, you're just bringing them in and putting them in facilities. So we have a lot of bureaucrats working for us right now that are not necessarily the most qualified in their positions. And I think that when we get a new mayor in November, I think we are going to be shaking up City Hall a little bit and replacing some of the people who are there right now that aren't doing the best job. I challenged them on one block. I said to the resilience person, I said, look, show me that we have $5 million to plant trees. I said, let's take one block where there are no trees and there's no shade. Show me that you can plant the trees. And the deadline was April 1st, and they haven't even started. And they told me that they need it in 6 months. And when they came to me, all they had was reasons why they couldn't plant the trees. You won't be able to get your wheelchair around the trees in some places, or we can't plant this kind of tree. So we are really challenged. So what they're doing with the $5 million is they have a director of resiliency who's going around and plopping trees down in places that we don't need them. And so that's so stupid. And they don't spend one more dollar planting trees where there is no need, and we need trees where there isn't. So this is something that we need. We have issues like that with every.
I was just gonna make a comment when we were talking about it. My husband and I, when we worked in the city, we lived on Staten Island. We took the Staten Island ferry all the time. We had no other choice. And, I mean, we had the Verrazano Bridge, but to go into New York City. So, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. If we have this waterway, you know, that use our seascape. It's worked for New York for decades. Why can't we do that? You know,
Can you
instead
imagine
of
having little boats going down the Indian Creek, so you
Gorgeous.
wanna go up Indian Creek, or
I
you
mean,
consider
that's
it
small
a
boats also.
go a little
If
further
they use
down,
the ship.
it would be
And,
amazing.
I mean, just to say, you know, the Poseidon Ferry, I love it, but the schedule is so limited. I mean,
so many people go.
We have money to seriously subsidize this and get the infrastructure that we need, and that's where I get to see the money spent, and that's why I'm encouraging the commission to hire a lobbyist, so that we can really speak to these people instead of this. Listen, I want mass transit, but I really think that this is, it's bad, it's a lot of money.
Bad.
It wasn't bid out, it really wasn't. They just said, you know what, all of our plans fell apart, so you're gonna get metro money, and they didn't even tell anybody that they were doing that.
but it's looking at, this is mass transit, and it's free. The water is free.
Free, and there's no traffic, and we can, if we have the right size ferry, we
Changing that
can
infrastructure.
Well-
And what could we do about that? What could we do? I know you said right to our.
So this has been an ongoing thing, where first we called it a water taxi, and then the city came in, what they offered was a limited schedule, and terrible, but nobody bids on it, because we've never had we've never had enough money to do it right. Now, if we had $1 billion, and I could exploit the waterways, let me tell you, we could do some really great stuff. I could probably we could get some wonderful stuff with 20% of that. So, we need to shift, the way that we're thinking about this. And they said we have to do a 7-year study because we need federal funding. And then they came back and they said, you know what? We're not getting federal funding. So you, for 7 years, have had the Department of Transportation. You've done you spent I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars on this smart plan. And I said, we need the smart plan. We're not getting federal funding. So that is where we are. It is a dysfunction in the county.
I was in London a couple weeks ago, and somebody asked me to visit them at their new place at Battersea. They said, take the Uber taxi, water taxi. Uber water taxi. I was like, okay. So I looked at my Uber app, and sure enough, you could just hit and buy your ticket, you go down to the water, and Uber picks you up and takes you.
And they have them in Miami, at one of the Art Basel fairs. They have them. There was,
And
So,
New York
right.
City also has another taxi too.
But I have no idea what the arrangement is with Uber, but maybe they know something already.
Well, I told our director of transportation that he needs to go to Europe and study these really efficient commercial systems to see the kind of boat that we need, to see the kind of dock that we need. Really, it's not that big of a deal. You put a dock, you put a little ticket office, everything is done on an app right now anyway. So literally, it's about buying the boats and creating the docks. It shouldn't be this difficult.
I mean, we should look into things like Venice with the Vaporettos. I mean, it's that simple. It's not I don't think it's a big thing.
You would think the simplest things in government, like I said, become way more complicated because of all the bureaucracies and all the different agencies involved. So that's where we are right now. We have a section of Alton Road probably that's going under construction, only we're stopping that because they want to cut down every tree on Alton Road.
That's what they said at the meeting.
That's why she's
So they said 85% of those trees on the left side going north, there's plenty of cars. 85% of those glorious trees that do all the work of pumping the water. Now cut them down and lift up out the roads. And then on the right side, add a fence lane. You know, I know where the water stagnates. It stagnates on two places. You know, all they gotta do is work that drainage in those two spots. But no, $32 million, everybody, did you hear that? It's
No, we're not doing that. We're not cutting down those trees, and we're not putting Alton Road under
It's
construction.
2.5 years ago, so I'm thrilled to hear you say that. It's gonna be tough, because 32